So we're going to, at this time, call up to our stage Ramin Abrashamian, who is going to share with us a little bit about the history of what Race Amity Day is, and Amity, and then the proclamation that we have from the State House that we'll be sharing as well. Ramin?
Sorry, we have to program it. Louder? Is it better now? Okay, very good. So this is the proclamation. I'm going to start by reading the proclamation and then tell you a little bit about the history of it. Is that okay? So this was signed on the 23rd of March in 2017 that every town and municipality received. It says a proclamation, whereas Massachusetts supports the Great Seal of the United States of America, which bears the transcription E pluribus unum, which translates from Latin as out of many, one, and whereas the greatest asset of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is its people, and whereas the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is comprised of multicultural, multi-ethnic, and multiracial citizens, and whereas friendship, collegiality, civility, respect, and kindness are commonly shared ideals of the collective citizenry of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and whereas the Towards E Pluribus Unum initiative has invited communities across the United States of America to join in introspection and reflection in the beauty and richness of the diverse peoples of this great nation, while reaching out with the spirit of amity toward one another annually on the second Sunday in June. And whereas H 2745, Chapter 163 of Acts of 2015 of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts establishes the second Sunday in June annually as Race Amity Day. Right. Now therefore, I, Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim June 11th, 2017 to be Race Amity Day. And urge all the citizens of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its observance. And it's signed by Charles D. Baker, Governor, Karen E. Polito, Lieutenant Governor, and William Francis Galvin. And there's the seal of the state of Massachusetts, Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Now, the idea of race amity is the opposite of racism. So basically, whereas we are familiar with the tradition, which is the tradition of racism in our country, there's also been a parallel process of collaboration between people of different races to achieve progress in our community. This has been going on since the beginning of this history of this country. And so the Center for Race Amity Conference out of Wheelock College, which has been spearheaded by Executive Director William Smith, Smitty Smith, has been working on this concept for many years. And it came about 5 years ago in Needham, when William Smith was one of our speakers at the Martin Luther King Day, where he met our representative, Denise Garlick. And in most situations, when you want to convince someone of something, you have to spend many weeks and days and months sometimes of going to them and asking them about something. In case of Representative Garlick, I don't think Smitty had finished his question when she said yes, that she would take this task on and with collaboration with Representative Russell, and push this legislation forward. And it took a couple of years, and then it came through. So this is the first recognition of that, and we are very grateful that you're here, and also very grateful that Representative Garlick is here as well. Who's next?
Where did David go?
Pardon?
Where did David go?
Where did David go? But there's David.
What is the program?
Okay, if I could ask Joanne, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you for asking me to be here today. I have the pleasure and the honor to recognize. It needs to be louder. How do we turn it up? Just close it. Better. Okay. It is my pleasure and my honor to be here with you today because this is such an important day. With all that is happening in the world and all that has happened in the world, we know that coming together and becoming one is what we need to do and what we must do. And today we are here to not only honor this day, but to honor a very, very special woman who has dedicated her entire life to social justice and to making sure that education was equitable for all students and for all people. I've known Jean McGuire my entire life, and on behalf of this organization and all of the Black and brown children that she has passionately fought for to educate, we honor her and we welcome her. So Jean, if you could please come forward. And this is from Race Amity. Jean has been the cornerstone of education in Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, and actually I'd say and the school committee in Massachusetts. And without women like her, these days would not happen because she was part of a generation that fought and stood firm in her commitment to ensuring that all children were educated in an equitable manner. And we will forever be grateful to you and will forever love you. Thank you.
You're reminding me that when I was young and in school, the only women principals were the elementary and primary school principals, maybe. It wasn't until the school committee in Boston got some prodding by John D. O'Brien and myself that we had a woman principal outside of Girls High and Girls Trade. All the principals were males. And that began to change the tide in Boston. There's a book called Village School Downtown if you're interested in seeing the changes that took place in the governance of the city of Boston Public Schools. What happens in major cities is important because cities are the gateways. When I was in the 6th grade, my current event was the day Pearl Harbor was bombed. September 7th was a Sunday, and my current event day was the next day. But 2 years before that, my father, who was an Episcopal clergyman, had been warning people about what he called the letting loose of the dogs of war after Lidice in Czechoslovakia, where they murdered so many Jews and made them dig their own grave. Just things that now seem not impossible, but are happening again in many places in the world. And we have to do as much as we can to make our children aware that we don't want to repeat the history of oppression of women, of children, of people who some perceive to be different. We all bleed the same. We all feel pain and hunger the same. And we have to make our children aware of how precious what you have when you have good health, when you have good schools. Okay. And have support of the public for the Is it all right now? Okay. For the bedrock of democracy, which is public education. It's not the purview of the privileged few with money to get their children educated as it was centuries ago. It is important in the maintenance of a democratic society that we make certain that public schools are not only funded but supported. That we support our teachers, we support our libraries, that we support our free press, so that the kind of things that worry me now that I see creeping back remind me of 1938. Be forewarned and forearmed. What happened in Nuremberg, what happened in Lidice, what happened when the V-2 rockets used to land in England, and we would get the English children here in America to stay with us during the bombardment of London. That can happen again, and in many ways it is happening in parts of the world. You see it on television. But you have to be aware when you hear of homophobic comments among your friends, open your mouth and speak up. When you hear of people talking about those people, your children, we have to tell them when they come on the bus, the work that we did to make it possible for our children to go to school together so they can live together, so they can work together, so they can vote together, so they can worship together, so they can love together. It doesn't happen by chance. It happens by work. It happens by commitment and the belief that that's the way to go. So make certain that we pass on to our children the need to keep an open society, a free society. It's not easy. It will be painful, but it's absolutely essential if we're going to maintain democratic institutions around the world, not just in the United States. Thank you for what you're doing.
Who has a camera? Anyone have a camera?
Thank you,
Everyone, Dr. Jean McGuire, former METCO Executive Director for over 35 years, amazing woman that received this year the National Race Amity Award. Dr. Smith presented that award to her in November of last year, and well deserved as we understand her commitment to race amity and working diligently for the education of all children. So we are so happy that we were able to honor her today and loved her speech. Wonderful.
Dr. Jean McGuire, living legacy, a legend in our time you've affected so many lives. So thank you again for coming to be part of our day here at Needham and Wellesley's Race Amity Day. As Ramin explained before, the coming together of Smitty and Representative Garlick led to what we have now, this proclamation that has led to us having Race Amity Day throughout Massachusetts. And at this time we invite up Representative Garlick to share her thoughts with us on this special day.
I wanted to say thank you to David for his gracious introduction, and I want to say thank you to all the people who organize this event and who consistently do this work. I wanted to briefly say the bill that we're talking about, the Race Amity bill, the history of that is there were celebrations of Race Amity, but every time and every year we wanted to do that, we had to ask permission for it. Can we have Race Amity? Can we make the phone calls? Can we get the appointment? Can we get the permission? With this bill, what happens is Race Amity Day is proclaimed the second Sunday in June, always. We don't ask permission any longer, we own it. So. Public policy is the result of many conditions. You need to have people defining the right problem, you need to be thinking of the right solutions, and you need a window of opportunity. Sometimes that happens in moments that are clearly defined, and sometimes it happens in moments that go unnoticed at the time, but have a profound impact. I am proud to be the sponsor of the Race Amity bill. but the honor goes to the Needham Diversity Initiative, the Needham Interfaith Clergy, and METCO of the Needham Public Schools. It's because of their ongoing work organizing the Needham Martin Luther Day celebration that I attended that I met Dr. Smith, the founder and leader of the National Race Amity Center, which is located in Massachusetts. I was deeply moved by the totality of that day's events, and I then met Dr. Smith in person and committed to the action of the legislation. And although, as Ermine said, it took us 2 years to get it done, it was one legislative session, which is a miracle unto itself. So, in that time, between 2014 and 2015, we worked on the many steps and committees to pass this legislation. And the issue of race was dominating our national, state, and local discussions. The viewpoints of the people we were discussing this with were defensive and divisive, and the conversations were pretty tense. But we found brave allies both inside and outside the State House, and ultimately we got the support of the House, of the Senate, and the signature of the governor. The difficulty of race relations discussed in 2014 and 2015 are overshadowed by the vitriolic rhetoric and the overt actions of today, actions of violence of today. These are dangerous times for all people of our country, our state, our community, our families, and for our souls. We are striving for the principles of access, equity, and social justice for all people. Is our talk of association, allies, and amity, which is simply a word for friendship, are those tools sufficient against the weapons of racism? Yes. It is our very best tool, and it is our very best hope. Lucius Seneca said, quote, "One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood." There is a great deal we must understand today, and we all need to be understood. Not only how we define our problems, but how we construct and implement the solutions. No one person or group or race can do it alone. Woodrow Wilson said, "Friendship is the only cement that will hold the world together." So what does that look like in a diverse community, a diverse state, a diverse nation in the world? Susie Kassim says, "One God, many faces. One family, many races. One truth, many paths. One heart, many complexions. One light, many reflections. One world, many imperfections. One. We are all one, but many." The work of race is very, very hard and always has been. It seems so great to us at this time because it's our responsibility now. We are making our own history now. Len Wayne said, "A friend is someone who's there for you when he'd rather be anywhere else." We would all like to be anywhere else right now. We would like to be anywhere else in a world and country of peace and justice, but we are not. We are here now. We must be the true friend who is, quote, there. We cannot afford to be the friend who goes to the housewarming party. We must be the friend who comes to clean and carry the furniture on moving day. And we must be the friends for the sake of others and for our own sake, who decide where we are moving to. Let us do the hard work together, friends.
Thank you again, Representative Garlick. We are honored to have you with us, and we are privileged to have you serving us so well in the State House. You are making a difference. Yes, let's have that presentation.
So we are very excited to present to the Wellesley Board of Selectmen, who is so generous to be here today. We have Beth Sullivan Woods, who we would like to invite to come up and receive the proclamation that Ramin off the bat that we hope that the Board of Selectmen will accept and hang in the Town Hall of Wellesley. And we are very excited to share this with you, and I hope that you'll go back and share with the other Board of Selectmen.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Do you want to leave? Totally up to you.
So thank you so much, and we are so pleased that the Needham Diversity Initiative and the World of Wellesley have taken the opportunity to start this wonderful tradition on Race Amity Day. The Board of Selectmen would like to offer both of your organizations a copy of the Tolerance Pledge that it passed in December. I think all of us agree that a world of diversity is a stronger world.
Please.
And so I'd like to read this to you. It says, the Wellesley Board of Selectmen reaffirms its position that Wellesley is a town that highly values diversity, dignity, and respect for all individuals. Wellesley strives to be a welcoming town. Therefore, the board opposes expressions of hate, intolerance, and discrimination. The board encourages the entire Wellesley community to continue to exhibit caring and supportive actions in support of our diversity. And it is dated December 12th, 2016.
Thank you.
So I have one for you and one for you. And this is for you. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to mention that the members of the Needham Board of Selectmen also sent their regards and support for our event, could not attend today in person. And I wish I thought earlier to quote Reverend Jim Mitulski, who said something last night that would have been very helpful. He said, this is the first time we're doing this ceremony with the awards last night, so we're going to be figuring it out as we go along, because it's pretty obvious that that's what we're doing as well. So I think we're getting to where we need to be, and we're now ready for two very special kinds of events to cheer us and inspire us.
Yes, thank you. So we are very, very excited for this part of our program. Arts and celebration, storytelling, poetry is just such a wonderful expression of love. And we've heard so many inspiring words today, and we will continue that tradition. And we are very excited to welcome to the stage spoken word poet Jamal Adams, who also AKA Harlem 125.
Now, if you would, real quick, because this is good work. You could be any place else on a Sunday above 90 degrees than outside in the sun. And we together, right? Right, family? Did y'all get, is everybody getting a tambourine? No? If you don't have a tambourine, put your hand up. We need to get you a tambourine. Tambourine. Everybody got tambourines over here? Thank you. I got tambourine.
Anybody else? Anybody want two?
Anybody need another one? All right. So, if you would, one time for Race Amity, shake your tambourine, shake your tambourine. Yeah! All right, now what I want you to do real quick, turn to your neighbor. Some of you still looking at me, turn to your neighbor. Say, neighbor, we need each other to keep each other free. Now say it again, we need each other to keep each other free. Now I also think it's important to know who's in the space. When we get, I promise I won't be long. If you were born in the 17s, like in the teens of the 2000s, shake your tambourine. You're born in the teens. In the teens up to 2000, okay. If you're born in the thousands of the twos, like the single digits of 2000, shake your tambourine. Yeah, you sure, you good. If you just see how deep this goes, you're born in the 90s, make some noise, shake your tambourine, 90s. If you were born in the 80s, this is how deep Race Amity and the fight for it goes. My crew, if you're born in the 70s, tambourine. This is where it gets a little wild right here, because these folks done fought, they done been through some things that made it possible for the rest of us to come together like this. If you born in the 60s, Tamarines, look at that, they still got it. They still got it. Let's keep going. If you born in the 50s, they like, we started it before y'all, the 50s. 40s? Mark, y'all look so good. Oh, everybody. Let's keep going. 30s? Yes. There we go. There we go. You're catching this on camera? 30s, you caught that? 20s? Anyone? 20s? 20s? We got the turn of the century folks. In the you can just one little boom, there you go. Right there, yes, right, officially, turn of the century, the single digits of the 19, show the love right there. If we all could, you are officially the matriarch of our region for coming together. You gave birth to all of this right here. If we could give this woman a standing ovation, you deserve that. You deserve this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. What's your name? Muriel. Thank you, Muriel. Let me say, we're going to be all right. Say like community, we're going to be all right. You know, sometimes when folks say we, they really mean I. But when I say we, I don't mean without you. I mean you with me. We. Not the we, you, but me and you. Like, we bad, meaning we good. Like we, I mean like hearts and life. Like open mics and protesting for rights. We, like the world's shortest poem written by Muhammad Ali. Me, we. Then someone yelled, gone with your bad self. And not gone, but gone. Gone like we left to get to a better place. Gone because you're beautiful. Gone because you're necessary. Gone because we have to succeed. Gone because we need you to go further in order for we to go further. Now gone. And while you're going, don't just be. I want you to be present. In fact, be beyond measure. Be cataclysmically unapologetic for being. I want you to be we and be gone. Now, I want you to be all right. And not all right like things are okay, but all right like fire. I want you to be all right, not like semi-sunshiny days, but all right like an aurora borealis kaleidoscope of lights. I want you to be all right like you're not killing us anymore. Be all right like freedom. Be all right like we love cinnamon women. Be all right like the world loves we. Be all right like Kendrick. Be all right tonight. All together and forever, we gonna be what, y'all? All right. We gonna be what, y'all? All right. Now, one of the things that's most important on this planet right now that doesn't happen that often, but should be noted when it does happen, is healing. And the second thing is forgiveness. Let me say forgiveness. Forgiveness. Now, you know, we who have, let me share this with you. Forgiveness, Dr. King says forgiveness is not an occasional act. It is a permanent attitude. Not an occasional act, but a permanent attitude. And with that, I share this with you. We who have sinned would like to be perfect again, return to when heaven would let us in, and the devil couldn't have our children. Those of you who we disgrace, we are your letdowns and heartbreaks, misgivings and mistakes, the sneeze not told God bless you. Forgive us. Speak to us again. Our debts won't free you the way forgiveness can. I want you to unwrap your skin, film it, edit the scars we caused, and slice us to the cutting room floor. Sweep us dustpan dirt like bottom of your broom. We be your clean sleep. Walk on us like mat. We welcome your bruise. Forgive us. Forgiveness is the jealousy of the hopeless, so let's be hopeful. What if God never forgave? We need to forgive like a womb that forgives those abortions, like wives forgives husbands, like black backs forgive whips, like mothers forgive sons, like dogs might forgive Michael Vick, like love forgives lust, like Jesus forgave Judas, like trees forgive nooses. It's hard sometimes, but how does a survivor forgive? Sometimes there aren't the words, but it still can be done. There is some sun in everyone. What happens when we forgive that cop that shot that boy? What happens when we forgive the racist, the misguided, the thoughtless, the criminal, and those whom intentionally hurt? If we forgive them, they can't hurt us the same way again. Forgiveness doesn't forego discipline, for we reap what we sow, above ground and below. The blessed word tells us so. So for every wrong done unto you, standing before you, bind it beneath the sins of candled hearts burning. Freedom is real if we And if you forgive. Thank you very much. And I leave you with this. Muhammad Ali, I listen to this quote all the times. One of the things he says is that service to each other is the rent you pay for your space on the planet. And so, with that, I like to remind us how great we are. And this is something he would say often. Let me repeat after me. Say, I'm the greatest. I said that before I knew I was. Don't tell me I can't do something. Don't tell me it's impossible. Don't tell me I'm not the greatest. I am double the greatest. But listen, for every one of those eyes, I want you to think we. For every one of those eyes, it's we. And with that, repeat this after me. I wrote this one. We are committed to we.
We are committed
So let the whole set town hear us. We are committed to we.
We are committed to we.
Unapologetic for who we are.
Unapologetic for who we are.
We are the future.
We are the future.
Driven by love.
Driven by love.
And a passion.
And passion.
For solidarity in the human family.
Solidarity in the human family.
It is frustrating.
It is frustrating.
When lives are not valued.
When lives are not valued.
Therefore,
Therefore,
we must never sever
we must never sever
our efforts
our efforts
for peace
for peace
and equality.
and equality.
Friends and family, you would, if the person with you was all right and next to you was all right with it, give them a high five and thank you very much, Race Amity. One more time, take your tambourines to Race Amity. Thank you, Michelle.
And Jamil lives in Natick, and you can find his website, and he will go and speak his beautiful poetry, and obviously you can look on his website to see where he'll be next performing. So thank you so much. Thank you. So we are so excited. Let's keep this energy alive. We are so excited to invite Linda and Sumner McLean to the stage. They are our amazing storytellers today and the inspiration for our tambourines, as you will certainly soon see. Linda McLean and I have something in common. We are both alumni of Wellesley High School. And Linda was a Boston resident and Metco student in the 70s.
Well, while you are sitting there, I'll just simply say, hello.
Hello.
Guten Tag. Hola. Hola. Ni hao. Ni hao. Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Jambo.
Jambo.
Marahaba. Karibuni. There's so many different ways to say hello, but there's nothing better than saying hello like this. Let's smile. So we're going to start. My name is Linda McLean, known as Mama Linda. And this is my husband.
Baba Sumner, hello.
And we are Story Celebrating Life. And the reason that we are Story Celebrating Life is because we believe that stories is something that brings people together. Everybody's got a story. And when you share those stories, then you find out that we have more in common than we do not. So that's why with so many stories about things that are going wrong and they're so negative that you never know. And I'm going to just tell you a real quick story right now, if you don't mind. Don't ask the storytellers because you never stop speaking. Right here, I was sitting next to the lady with the hat on, and she was saying to me she was born in Boston. So she said, I said, well, most people in Boston, they came from the South or someplace else. Very few people are born in Boston. But when she said that, I was like, my father was born in Boston. And I said, do you know any Dawsons? And guess what? She did. She said, and I said, did you know any Nevilles? And she said, I did. And I said, she said, I knew Catherine Neville. Catherine Neville was my mother. And what's so great, it's very rare for me to find because my mother passed when I was like 6 years old. So it's very rare that I run into someone who knew Catherine. So you know what the moral of the story is? When you sit next to someone, it's always good to say hello. And you never know. I would have never met that lady, as far as I know, in my life. But I know her now, and she knows my Aunt Gert and all these other people. And I've got a new friend today just because I said hello. So when you can use whatever language it is that you do, whether it's marahaba or konnichiwa or ni hao or whatever it is you do, just say hello to someone passing by, because you never know how it might affect someone else's life. All right? So we have a saying. In Ghana, when they want to make sure that everybody is hearing and on one account, they say, I'll go. And the response to I'll go is I may, and it means you're giving ear. So when I say I'll go, you say I may. I'll go. Amen. I'll go. Amen. I'll go. Amen. I'll go. Amen. When we come together, the drum is like the heartbeat. And every culture has a drum called different things. This one is called the djembe. Now I'm going to ask you to clap, 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 clap. Very good, because that's how we start off. Because one thing about the drum and the heartbeat, we all have one heart and it all beats the same way. Clapping, no matter how you do it, it's still putting your hands together, whether you're black, white, green, or purple, short, fat, skinny, or whatever. Clapping is still clapping. So let's give ourselves a hand. Okay, so we have a couple of different things here. I have a tambourine. They call me the tambourine lady. So I'm going to ask you to just do this. We're going to do a song together. So take your tambourine. And I know you know this song. I think you do. It's the light of mine. I'm going to let it shine. Oh, this the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. It's the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Everywhere we go. Everywhere we go. We're gonna let it shine. Oh, everywhere we go. We're gonna let it shine. Everywhere we go. We're gonna let it shine. 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 I'm going to take the microphone. I'm going to tell you a story. This is fun. Is it on?
Testing, testing, great. I'm going to tell you a story. I have several stories in mind. But I'm going to, since you have the tambourine, I'm going to tell you a little story about that. I'm going to tell you how I learned the song, This Little Light of Mine. When I was a little girl, I lived in Roxbury. I lived with my mom and my dad. I was probably about 3 years old. We lived on a street called Marcella Street, off of Washington Street, heading towards Eggleston Station. Back in the day, they didn't have pre-K. They had nursery school. And those of you who are old enough to know that, you probably know that. When you were 3 or 4 years old, you would go to a library, some community place, and you would have nursery school. Well, in this particular neighborhood, you know, it had all different types of people. And prior to that, I had always lived in a pretty much African-American community, and most of the people in my family were African-American. So when we moved to Marcella Street, and my mom would take me to the Eggleston Square Branch Library, and we would walk. And one day while we were walking, I saw a woman sitting on the porch. And at that point, I just called her the porch lady, because she sat on the porch. And I said, Mommy, look at the porch lady. And she said, that's nice, Linda. And I said, Mommy, why is her skin so light? And she said, well, she's of a different culture. Well, at 3 or 4, I didn't know what culture meant. I just knew that her color wasn't the same as mine. And I said, okay, I never saw that before. And I looked at her, and she looked at me. And then I looked at her hair. Her hair was black, but it had white. Now, I had a grandma and a grandpa. Either they dyed their hair or they were too young. I don't know, but I never saw gray hair before. And I said, Mom, look at her hair. It's black and it's white. And she said, that's right, Linda. When you get a little bit older, sometimes your hair changes colors. And I said, wow. And I kept looking at that lady. So as I walked by, I waved my hand at her, and she waved her hand at me, and she smiled. Neither one of us said a word, but we smiled and waved. Well, we went to the library, and we had a great time. I walked back, and that lady was still sitting on her porch. I said, Mom, there's a porch lady, and I waved at her, and she waved at me. The next day we walked by, we were sitting on the porch. I said, hello, and she didn't say anything. I said, Mom, she didn't say anything to me. Mother said, well, Linda, maybe she doesn't speak English. Maybe she speaks another language. But you can still wave and smile. So we waved and smiled. And I noticed that she had beautiful, beautiful flowers. So I looked at the flowers, and I looked at the lady, and I looked at the flowers, and I looked at the lady, and she came down off of her porch. She picked a flower, and it was a little yellow flower, and she put it under my chin, and she smiled. And my mom said, ooh, your chin is yellow. And the lady smiled at me, and I smiled at her while I went off to nursery school. The next day I walked by and I smiled at her again, and she had lemonade. But I noticed, she had 3 or 4 cups. And so as I walked by, she poured a cup of lemonade. She gave one to me and one to my mom. So we just sat down on the porch with her, and we drank the lemonade, and we didn't say a word. We just drank and smiled. And as we sat there, other people started walking by. And before you know, there were 5 or 6 people sitting on the front porch just drinking lemonade. No one really speaking, just watching everybody go by. And this went on for a while. Pretty soon, I noticed that she was humming a song, and I could hear, but I didn't know what the song was. But you know how humming goes? When you hear someone humming, you start humming too. So I started humming the song. Well, it got to be a routine with me and that porch lady. We started making things in the ground. She taught me how to pick weeds, and she taught me how to pick up stones. And you know what? We never said a word. I don't even know what her name was. But she hummed that song. So one day I went to church, and I was sitting with my mom and dad. And all of a sudden I heard people saying, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. And I was like, I heard that song before. The porch lady hums that song. And so when I saw her again, I ran up and I said, I know that song. It's this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. And for the first time, I heard the lady sing, this little light of mine. And I said, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, this little light of mine. And I taught her the song. She taught me the hum, and I taught her the words. And together we learned that you don't always have to have the same skin. You don't even have to have the same words, But one thing we can all do together, and that is hum and let our little lights shine.
Good afternoon. Thank you for welcoming us. We're at the Congregational Church, and that reminds me that when I was a teenager, I used to go to a youth group in the Congregational Church in Cambridge. In fact, one day the youth pastor introduced us to a very special guest. It was Eleanor Roosevelt who came to visit us. And I'll never forget that I was part of that group in 1963 when our youth minister said, "We're going to get a bus. We're going to Washington, D.C. Dr. Martin Luther King is going to be giving a speech. Sumner, do you want to go?" I said, "No." I said, "There's going to be thousands of people there. And it's not going to make any difference whether I go or not." And then I remember my foster mama saying, "Yeah, but Sumner, what if everybody thought that way?" And I started to think about that, and I changed my mind. And I went to that March on Washington. It changed my life. I heard Dr. Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream that this nation shall rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal." I heard Dr. Martin Luther King say, "Oh, I don't know if it's so much a matter of a problem between whites and blacks as it's a problem between good and evil." Yes, yes. Just the other day, I was on my way to Tito Jackson's office downtown to City Hall to pick up a proclamation for Linda's father, who's going to be celebrating his 90th birthday. And I was at Park Street on the Green Line, and something happened. I walked in the trolley car, and there was a man sitting right next to me in the inside, and so I sat on the outside. And then that man, I would guess you would call him a Caucasian, or maybe he'd call himself white. I don't know. Maybe I'd call him pink. He got up, crossed away from me, and went across the other side of the car and hung on the pole. You know how that trolley just goes like this? And I thought, well, he must be getting off at the next stop. I was getting off at the next stop. I got up and got up off the next stop, leaving him there on the train going like this. And I thought, wow, at my age, I'm still dealing with this? I'm still dealing with somebody who doesn't want to sit with me? Don't they see me? Doesn't he see me? And that day I had my harmonica, I was just playing very quietly to myself and everything, and I was feeling sad because of that. And that just happened a couple of weeks ago. Then I was coming back home from Tito Jackson's office, and something else happened. I think I got a God hug. I was on the red line, and I'm sitting there and I'm playing. All of a sudden, this man walked up. I guess you could call him white if you want to. Maybe I'll call him pink, because I'm honey golden brown. He walked up to me and he said, "Hey," he said, "I heard that harmonica." He said, "What's the story of your harmonica? Will you play another song for me?" he said. And then I said, "Sure." Well, you don't ever want to encourage a harmonica player, by the way. I said, "Oh, yeah." And we started talking, and we started sharing all kinds of things. He said he had just come 2 days ago from down from New Orleans. And we had a great conversation. And I left the train feeling so good. The God hug is that, you see, I realized, wow, you know, it's a matter of good and evil, you know? It's a matter of good and evil. It's not a matter of color. Because I'm looking out at you all. And what do I see? I don't see any boxes. I don't see nobody white. And I don't see nobody black. Why, you look like flowers in a garden. Flowers in a garden. That's what you look like. Yeah, I see colors that we don't even have names for. Colors that aren't in the Crayola box. So don't you put yourself in those boxes. You know, the big talk box, the old people box, the black box, the white box, the yellow box, the red box. Good gracious. The world's too big and God's too much of a lover for that. Indeed. You know, a long time ago, folks were happy. Some of you older ones know what I mean. People didn't lock their doors. You know, people trusted each other a lot more than they do now. Is this thing gonna mess up on me? If it's gonna mess up on me, then I'll share my story. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. Yeah, people's doors was open, and people really cared and loved each other. Oh, I'm telling you, they loved each other. Like Brother Blue said. And I'll tell you why. Because, you see, in that time, when a person was first born, they received a warm, fuzzy bag. You know that story? Yes, a warm, fuzzy bag. And everybody had in that bag warm fuzzies. And they shared them. Would you like a warm fuzzy? Because you know, if you put it on your shoulder next to your neck, it would melt into you, and you'd feel so nice and wonderful and happy and loving inside. And folks would go around saying, "Do you want a warm fuzzy? How about you? How about you? How about you?" And you know, during that time, people were healthy. Yes, they were healthy. But there was an evil witch in that village who wanted to make money, because that witch was selling salves and ointments and wanted to make some money. And it wasn't a good idea that everybody be healthy, because then they wouldn't buy her stuff. So she devised a wicked plan. One day, she went to this family. The father's name was Tom, and he had a wife named Mary, and Mary was playing with the children, and she walked up to Tom and she said, look at your wife. She's giving out all those warm fuzzies to the children. I don't think she should do that, because you know she's gonna run out. What? Said Tom. I'm gonna run out of warm fuzzies? Yes, she'll run out. You know, you don't want that, because then she won't have any warm fuzzies left for you. And Tom thought about that. He loved his wife's warm fuzzies. And so when she finished playing with the kids, and after that witch disappeared, he said to her, honey, I don't think you should be giving all those warm fuzzies out. You might run out. She said, I might run out? She hadn't thought about that before. But she believed him and she loved him. So she started giving out those warm fuzzies much more carefully. And people got less and less warm fuzzies. And they got more and more unhealthy. Yes, their backs shriveled up, and some of them even died. Oh yeah, you go to the graveyard and you look and you see the gravestone saying, there lies John B. Sloan, dead due to lack of warm fuzzies. But it wasn't even good enough. See, the witch had another plan, because she really wanted the customers to come, and they really weren't coming if they were so unhealthy. So she invented a warm fuzzy that looked like a warm fuzzy, but really it was a cold prickly. It looked the same, but when you put it on your shoulder next to you, it was like a cold prickly. It was cold, and it made you feel cold and awful inside. And she sold those.
And people started giving them out because, oh yeah, they wanted to save their warm fuzzies because they might run out. Would you like a warm fuzzy? They would be giving them out, and people would get all cold and prickly and unhealthy. Those pricklies helped the back, but they didn't help people feel better about each other. Oh no, not at all. But one day, a beautiful woman came to that village. They called it a hip woman. She had a shopping bag. Remind me of Eugene. She had a shopping bag. And she had a shopping bag full of warm fuzzies. And she started giving, and they were genuine. She was giving them out to the children. The children looked at her and loved her and said, yeah. And they started giving out warm fuzzies. And all over the place, they started giving out the warm fuzzies, even though the adults thought they might be running out. The adults panicked. They went into City Hall. They passed an ordinance. Do not give out genuine warm fuzzies. They passed a law. You can't do it. Conflict grew all across that village. Because, of course, that husband and wife, they remembered the good times. Conflict grew in that village and throughout the country because the children somehow knew deep inside it made much more sense to be loving and warm. Yes, conflict grew. It grew beyond that village. It grew beyond that country. And it grew all over the world. Right now, right down to this place, right here. How the story ends? How the story ends depends on what you're going to write up in your heart. What you're going to write up. I hope you're going to write up, hey, you want a warm fuzzy?
Yes.
You want a warm fuzzy? You want a warm fuzzy? You want a warm fuzzy? Be my echo. Love is an ocean.
Love is an ocean.
Love is an ocean.
Love is an ocean.
We are one with thee.
We are one with thee.
First a tiny lake,
First a tiny lake,
then a mighty sea.
then a mighty sea.
Oh love,
Oh love,
we are one
we are one
with thee.
with thee. Little baby, don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird. If that mockingbird don't sing, Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. Diamond ring, diamond ring. Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. You can clap. We're having fun. All right. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird. If that mockingbird don't sing, Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. If that diamond ring don't shine, Mama's gonna buy you a bottle of wine. No bottle of wine, no bottle of wine. No bottle of wine. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird. If that mockingbird don't sing, Mama gonna buy you a diamond ring. If that diamond ring don't shine, Mama's gonna buy you a bottle of wine. No wine, no wine, no wine, no wine, no wine, no wine. Back in the day, people used to sing songs like that. Hush, little baby, and she fly, don't bother me. Grandma used to tell me stories like that. And she used to tell stories so you'd learn something. When I was a little girl, I hated to clean up my room. And so sometimes I would just put all the stuff underneath the bed. And when my mother would come in and she said, "Did you clean that room?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "Did you?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And she'd look in the drawers are okay. She'd look at someplace else, and then she'd look like she was going under the bed, and I'd say, "Oh, look at the sky. It's very pretty up there, right?" And she said, "You know what? You think everything is all about you. We all have to do our job to keep this house clean. And your job is to try to do that also." So she said, "You know what? I'm going to tell you the story of the 3 geese. Well, once there were 3 geese, and they could fly really, really high. Beautiful geese flying all the time. But one day, one walked and tripped and broke the wing. Oh, the weather was starting to get cold, and they were trying to figure out, what are we going to do with a bird with a broken wing? When the weather gets cold, we have to migrate to the warm weather. So they all put their heads together. They said, you know, by the water, there's a tall grass. If we braid it all together, we can make a rope. And they said, if we have a rope, one that has wings that can fly can get on one end, and another that has wings can fly can get on the other end, and the one with the broken wing can hold on with the beak. That sounds like a pretty good plan. Well, as the weather got cold, that's just what they did. One with good wings got on one side, another with good wings got on the other side, and the one with the broken wings held on with the beak, and they flew high in the sky. Now, walking on the earth were 2 creatures with 2 legs. They called them man. And they were hunters. And they looked up at them geese. Hey, Joe! Yeah, Bill? What you see up there? Dad, looked like 3 geese. One on one end, one on the other, and one hanging on with his beak. Ah, Bill, I never seen such a doggone thing like that. Me neither. So one called up and he said, hey, you birds up there! Whose idea was to do a darn thing like that? And the one holding on with the beak said, Now you might think that's the end of the story, but it's not. We are our brother and sister's keeper. And so they wrapped a rope around the bird, and they caught him and lifted him up, and they flew away, never to be seen again. So if we think that it's all about us, and it's all about me, and not the we can fall. But hopefully, we'll help each other so that it does not happen. And as for me, I never ever put my clothes underneath the bed again. The beginning.